The Ultimate Fighting Championship is a safe space for all those who find violence thrilling. Today, we've ranked 6 of the most brutal UFC moments and knockouts witnessed in MMA history. Which gruesome moment will secure the #1 position on the list? Stay tuned to find out more about the bloodiest brawls ever. At number 6 is when Jeremy Stephens fought with Estevan Payan at the UFC 160. While most people are nauseated at the sight of bloodshed, fans of MMA aren't alien to the red liquid decorating the octagon after a ruthless brawl. We'll start with the fight ranked 6th by telling you about one of the bloodiest UFC fights to date. It even had commenters gagging. According to Joe Rogan, the UFC color commenter, this isn't a fight for those who were looking to enjoy the combat sport for the first time. Why did he say so? This is because Jeremy Stephens and Estevan Payan were simply too engrossed in the brawl. Every MMA enjoyer knows that Stephens is merciless with this ability to throw powerful punches and get a knockout from every possible angle. The savage fighter greeted Payan in the octagon with his elbow. This caused a horrible cut to show up on the newcomer's forehead. Moving on, we haven't even gotten to the bad part yet. Does it get worse? Yes, it gets much worse for Payan at UFC 160. What did Jeremy do next? As soon as the second round began, Jeremy Stephens started going crazy, making use of his excellent GMP skills as much as he could. After the parade of unstoppable punches, a barrage of brutal elbows collided with Payan's skull till the fighter was drowning in his blood. How much blood did he lose? Payan gave his all and fought courageously till the end. It's assumed that the fighter lost almost 2 liters of blood in the challenging brawl. Next at number 5, the iconic BJ Penn fight against Joe Stevenson at UFC 80. Let's move on to fight number 5. BJ Penn's recent downfall shouldn't cloud anyone's judgment about his skills. Why so? This is because the highly talented fighter made his mark back in the day with a fight so aggressive it still gives us chills. Who did Penn fight against? The American fighter delivered one of the most spectacular fights of his career against Joe Stevenson in the octagon at UFC 80. What went down between the fighters in the octagon? Don't worry, we'll tell you about it right away. As soon as the fight began, thanks to his exceptional skills, Penn dominated and maintained control of it. What more did he do? Barely a minute into the match, Penn went for Stevenson's brow with his nasty elbow. The carefully planned yet unexpected attack resulted in a huge amount of blood flooding the fellow American fighter's sight. However, this didn't slow Joe down or cause him to back off very easily. The determined fighter launched towards Penn in hopes of securing a few punches. How did that work out for him? Unfortunately, Penn knocked him down and savagely finished the match. What did he do? The most memorable moment of the fight was how mercilessly Penn continued to squeeze Stevenson's neck while he was knocked down with blood spilling from his previous brow attack. This iconic fight helped BJ Penn maintain an image where fighters would think twice before stepping into the octagon with him. Now at number 4, the UFC 96 match with Matt Brown and Pete Sell in 2009. For the 4th place, we're going to reveal one of the toughest fights in MMA history. Not only was the outcome of the match severely devastating, but it highlighted incompetent factors about the combat sports management too. What happened in the match? The brawl between Matt Brown and Pete Sell became a hot topic in 2009 due to the referees not stepping in on time. Brown was declared the winner in the first round of the match at 132. What was the issue? The win should have been declared much earlier at 20 seconds when Brown attacked Sell with 2 knees slammed into his face. The referee's failure to acknowledge how bad it was for Sell in the octagon provided Brown a full extra minute to bash on his unstable rival. What was Sell's condition? After being tossed, punched, and slammed from one end of the cage to the other like a rag doll, Pete Sell eventually collapsed. Shockingly, no one stepped in to stop Brown after that either, and allowed him to land numerous punches. According to MMA experts, the fight was a horrifying mugging that should have never gone on for as long as it did. The statistics at the end showed that Brown managed to score a great total of 44 uncontested strikes as compared to Sell's 0. We agree that the fight could have ended way earlier, and the management should have done their job well, as the safety of the fighters in the octagon lies in their hands. Sitting at number 3, the brawl between Rento Sobral and David Heath at UFC 74. Whenever the topic of a brutal MMA fight comes up, fans can't go without mentioning the legendary Sobral versus Heath at UFC 74. For the list that we've compiled, this fight ranks 3rd place for how scary it was to witness. We can only imagine how nauseous the crowd present at the event must have been feeling. What went down in the cage that day? Let's get right into it. Both fighters had hostile attitudes towards each other before they stepped into the octagon for the fight. Naturally, everyone expected things to get ugly for sure, but not to the extent that the fight wound up going in. On the day, the initial rounds of the match went by in a breeze, but then Sobral viciously attacked Heath's head by throwing some classic ground and pound punches. What made the fight worse? It was the fact that Sobral chose to target the open wound repeatedly, causing unnecessary damage and bloodshed. The incident was so scary and bizarre that it looked like a very messy knife stabbing fighting scene out of a low-budget horror movie. At last, Sobral chose to end the horrific fight by putting Heath in an anaconda chokehold. This super intense and bloody brawl remains one of the most memorable fights in the Ultimate Fighting Championship to date. We're sure MMA fans see plenty of fights every day, but even the most dedicated ones couldn't help but shake their heads at how heated this match got. At number 2, we have the fight that ended Steve Nelmark's UFC career. The fight that deserves a second place on our list is the one that drove Steve Nelmark's MMA career off the road. The fighter would have never guessed that putting Tank Abbott in a chokehold would lead to such grave circumstances. What happened inside the octagon that day? At UFC 11.5, Nelmark faced his dangerous opponent Tank Abbott. Abbott made a big mark by becoming the talk of the town after defeating John Matua at UFC 6. During his fight with Abbott, Nelmark attempted to put his rival in a guillotine choke, but the legendary fighter broke apart from it and unleashed hell. What did Abbott do? He made Nelmark weak in the knees by going at him with one of his classic flurries. This didn't stop the fighter from continuously making Nelmark's remaining time in the cage awful. Finally, it took a powerful swing from Abbott's right hand to push Nelmark's body to the floor in a twisted heap. MMA fans went crazy over the jaw-dropping knockout scene and managed to churn out a term referring to Abbott's iconic finish known as Nelmarking. That was the day Nelmark lost the match alongside his UFC career and became the butt of one of the first MMA-related memes all over social media. While Abbott's incredible ability to quickly dodge Nelmark's chokehold attempts and counter it with powerful punches deserves all the praise, we think Nelmark's career ended a little too soon. Now at number 1, Chris Weidman crushes Anderson Silva at UFC 168. Saving the best for last, we're amused and disgusted at the same time to announce the most brutal fight in MMA history. Which fight deserves the number 1 spot? We'll tell you that it occurred on the night of UFC 168, where Chris Weidman put Anderson Silva in the greatest amount of pain the middleweight champion has ever been in. How did it all go down between the two fighters? Chris caught on to the fact that Silva had the upper hand in the first round of the brawl, and he couldn't tolerate that. Silva further decided to up his game and put his great kicking skills to use in the cage. Oh, but Weidman wasn't having too much of Silva's gloating. How did he manage to counter the kicks from his opponent? When the next power kick came his way, Chris checked it with his shin and proceeded to do so in another case with his knee. This caused Silva to scream out in pain and fall back clutching his leg in agony. The cameramen continued to act oblivious to the horrifying injury and moved all attention towards Chris. Only during the replays, it was acknowledged that Silva's severe injury of 2 broken bones in his leg was declared a matter of concern. The disgusting cherry on top was the terrifying image of Silva's foot dangling away from the rest of his leg. We're sure that everyone who witnessed the moment in person remembers it to this day. That's a wrap for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Did we miss out on any of your favorite brutal UFC moments on the list? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.